Hello, everyone. This is Ike, and welcome to the second episode of Hebrew Israelite Awakening. Today's topic will be Mamzers. For those who don't know, a Mamzer is a Hebrew word for a biracial child. So today's Bible sermon lesson will be entitled Mamzers, Interracial, Mongrel, Mulatto, and half-caste, which is some of the names we use in English to describe a biracial person or interracial person. So we're going to begin this lesson out by going to Deuteronomy chapter 23 verse 2, and it reads, "A bastard shall not enter into the congregation of the Most High, even to the 10th generation shall he not enter into the congregation of the Most High." Now the Strong's Concordance number for the word bastard is 4464, and it reads, it says, Mamzer, from Deuteronomy 23 verse 2. It says, to alienate, a mongrel, born of an Israelite father and a heathen mother, bastard. So when you read Deuteronomy chapter 23 verse 2, and it says, a bastard shall not enter the congregation of the Most High, even to the 10th generation, the word bastard is the Hebrew word mamzer, and it says to alienate, a mongrel, born of a Israelite father and a heathen mother. So we're talking about a biracial child. A bastard is a biracial child in the context of the Hebrew. In English, a bastard is someone who's born outside of wedlock. But that word bastard in the Hebrew is mamzer. And it should have been translated, no interracial child shall enter the congregation of the Most High, even to the 10th generation. That's how it should have read, but they chose to put the word bastard instead of interracial or biracial child, a biracial person. I don't know why. They had, knowledge have increased and they know what that word means in the English. So I don't know why they just didn't use biracial or interracial but let's continue. Next I'll be reading Deuteronomy chapter 3 and Deuteronomy chapter 7 and 8. And it reads, it says, an Ammonite or Moabite shall not enter the assembly of the Most High, even to the 10th generation. None of his descendants shall enter the assembly of the Most High. See, when you read from verses 3 to verse 6, it tells you that the children of Ammon and Moab, the descendants that are born unto them, shall not enter to the congregation for 10 generations, because they didn't meet the children of Israel with bread and with water and with kindness when they was trying to pass through the land of Ammon and Moab to get to the promised land that the Most High had promised unto the children of Israel. So for that reason, the Most High didn't want us mixing with them. But he said, if we were to mix against or mix with them, that would be breaking this commandment. So the child that will be born to them will not be accepted into his congregation through 10 generations. So a whole 10 generations of those children would be considered as strangers unto the children of Israel and not native born Israelites until the 11th generation, because he said they couldn't enter his congregation up to 10 generations. So that means that the 11th generation born unto them would be able to enter in. Next, we're going to Deuteronomy chapter 23, verses 7 and 8. And it reads, it says, you shall not abhor an Edomite, for he is your brother. You shall not abhor an Egyptian, because you were an alien in his land. The children of the 3rd generation born to them may enter the assembly of the Most High. So he says, if you have a child with an Edomite, that the child of the 3rd generation that's born unto them can enter the assembly of the Most High. If you have a child by an Egyptian, which is Mizraim, the child of the third generation born unto them can enter the assembly of the Most High. But the first 2 generation children that are born unto them can't enter into the congregation of the Most High, meaning that they would not be considered Israelites because they're biracial. So the first 2 generations would be considered under the law. They will be under the law of a stranger. They won't be treated as native-born Israelites because they're not. They're biracial. They're Mamzers. The third generation child will be accepted as an Israelite, but the first 2 generations won't. Which means, let me break this down. All right, I'm going to use black and white because that's the most obvious 2 different people, 2 different characteristics that I can use. So let me use black and white, which is the black would be Hebrew, white would be Edomite. So let's say a man has sex with an Edomite woman and she produces a child by him. That child would be classified as a first generation Mamzer, right? Then that child grows up, gets married, and that child has a child. Then they would produce the second generation, right? Then that child grows up, becomes an adult, and has a child, and they produce the third generation child. The third generational child would be considered an Israelite. The third generational child would not be under the law of a stranger. But the first 2 children of that biracial couple would be considered Mamzers. So that's what it means when it said the third generation born unto them may enter into the assembly of the Most High. And I got precepts. The precepts are Exodus chapter 12 verses 37 and 38 and Leviticus chapter 24 verses 10 and 11. Okay, next we'll be going to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3 verses 16 through 19. And it reads, it says, but children born of adultery or of a forbidden union will die an early death. Yet even if they do live a long time, they will never amount to anything. They will not be respected in their old age, and if they die young, they will have no hope or comfort on Judgment Day. Children born of a forbidden union suffer a miserable fate. Now let me elaborate on this for a second. Now that was in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3 verses 16 and 17. Now my elaboration is this. See, the children of Israel were commanded not to interracially mix. The children of Israel were supposed to stay within their own family. They married their cousins. They didn't marry outside of their tribe. They didn't marry outside of their people, outside of the line of Shem, outside of the covenant that the Most High gave unto Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So you had to be of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, of the children of Israel, to be considered the children of the promise, the children of the covenant. So we was not supposed to mix and go outside of our people. The children of Israel married within their own people. They married their cousins. It is perfectly legal to marry your cousin according to God's word. You can't marry your sister. You can't marry your brother. You can't marry your auntie. You can't marry your uncle. You can't marry your mother, your father. You can't have sexual relations with a near kin. According to the law, your nearest kin was your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your uncle, your auntie. That was your near kin. But your cousins were fair game. You could marry your cousins. And if you read the scriptures, you read the book of Genesis, you see that Jacob married his 2 cousins. Leah and Rachel was his cousins. They were his first cousins. They were the children of his uncle, his mother's brother. You see what I'm saying? Isaac married Rebekah. Rebekah was his cousin. So it's lawful to marry your cousins. It was not lawful to marry outside of your people. And the children of Israel wasn't even permitted to marry outside of their own tribe. They were supposed to stay within their own tribe. The children of Levi were supposed to marry within the children of Levi. The children of Benjamin supposed to marry within the children of Benjamin. And so on and so forth. We wasn't supposed to be tribal mixing. We were supposed to marry within our own tribe so our inheritance would stay within our own territory and not go into someone else's territory from another person's tribe. So our law prohibited interracial mixing. So if a man was to commit this sin, this man would suffer the consequences just like Solomon did, and the children of Israel paid for his transgression. But sometimes that child would also be affected because of what the parents done. That's why that child is considered a Mamzer and came into the congregation until the third generation, because there was a consequence for breaking the commandments of the Most High. That child would be under the law of the stranger that the Most High gave unto the children of Israel. That child would not be as a native born Israelite, and that's the consequence for what his parents did, or his or her parents did. You know, when a man has a child with a woman, that child could be male or female. All right, next we're going to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 4, verses 3 through 6. It says, no matter how many children are born of a forbidden union, none of them will ever amount to anything. They are illegitimate. They can never lay a firm foundation for themselves, never take deep root. Like trees with shallow roots, they put out leaves for a while, but they sway in the wind and storms uproot them. Their branches snap off before they mature. Their fruit never ripens, and it is good for nothing. On Judgment Day, children born of a forbidden union will testify to the sin of their parents and act as witnesses against them. See, because of this transgression of the children of Israel, interracially mixing with those who are not of their own people, the child has to suffer for that. The child is looked upon as a stranger. The child ain't looked upon as an Israelite. Because according to the definition of the word Mamzer, the Israelite father who mixes with another woman who's not of his people, that child is a Mamzer, and that child is cut off. You have some Israelites saying, if the father is an Israelite, they don't matter what the mother is. If the mother's a heathen and the father's Israelite, that child's Israelite. Well, see, that's a lie. According to the word, we just looked it up. It's 4464 in your Strong's Concordance in the Hebrew. Or vice versa, even if it's a Edomite man with an Israelite woman, that child is a Mamzer. Don't matter if the father's white and the mother's black, or the father's black and the mother's white. That child is a Mamzer. And this Bible study is about the interracial child, the biracial child, the Mongrel, the Mulatto, the Mamzer. That's what this is about. So I'm reading the scriptures about the person who is mixed. Okay. Next we're going to Sirach chapter 41 verses 5 through 10. And it reads, it says, the children of sinners brought up in ungodly surroundings turn out to be hateful people. They will lose whatever they inherit, and their own descendants will live in permanent disgrace. Their children will put the blame for their disgrace on their ungodly parents. You are doomed, you irreligious people who have abandoned the law of the Most High God. When you have children, disaster will strike them, and you will be left with nothing but sorrow. There will be great joy wherever you stumble, and even after your death, you will be cursed. What comes into being from nothing will return to nothing. So it will be with the godless doomed to extinction. And the precept is Job chapter 14, verse 4. Now let me go back up. I'm going back up, and we in Sirach chapter 41. I just read verses 5 through 10, but I want to reread a couple of these verses real quick. I want to reread verse 7. And verse 7 says, the children will put the blame for their disgrace on their ungodly parents. See, that Mamzer, that biracial child, he has to put the blame for his condition on his parents, because see, he's not to blame. It's not his fault that he was born a Mamzer. It's not his fault he was born interracial. It's his parents' fault. It's his father's fault for sleeping with someone who was not of his people. Or it's his mother's fault because he was born with someone who was not of his people. It's not his fault that he's biracial. But there is a consequence for sin. You see what I'm saying? It's not the fact that it's not your fault it happened. It's your parents' fault. But because they did that, you got to suffer the curse, which is that you are not considered an Israelite, and you're not allowed into the assembly until the third generation. That's not your fault. That's your parents' fault. You know, sometimes we suffer for the sins of our parents. The sins of our parents put us in conditions that are not healthy for us, that are not good for us. Even though we innocent, we didn't do it, but their sins put us in conditions that are not good for us. You see what I'm saying? Like if you're born to a mother who's on drugs, and she got you living in these harsh conditions and got drug dealers coming back and forth out your house and all this kind of stuff. You're not living in a safe condition. Even though you're not on crack, you're not on drugs, it's not your fault that you live in the condition that you're living in. It's your parents' fault. But there is a way out for you, but your parents still have to suffer the consequence for doing what they did. And that's what I'm trying to say. But as we continue, there is light at the end of the tunnel. At the end of the tunnel. If my voice sounds a little bit stretched, it's because I have a cold. So, but I hope that don't, interfere with what I'm saying. Next, we're going to Galatians chapter 4, verses 21 to 31, and it reads, "Tell me, you who desire to be under the law, do you not hear the law? For it is written that Abraham had two sons, the one by a bondwoman, the other by a free woman. But he who was of the bondwoman was born according to the flesh, and he of the free woman through promise, which things are symbolic. For these are the two covenants, the one from Mount Sinai, which gives birth to bondage, which is Hagar. For this Hagar is Mount Sinai in Arabia, and corresponds to Jerusalem, which is now and is in bondage with her children. But the Jerusalem above is free, which is the mother of us all. For it is written, Rejoice, O burden, you who do not bear, break forth and shout, you who are not in labor. For the desolate has many more children than she who is a husband, than she who has a husband." Now we, brethren, as Isaac was, are children of promise. But as he who was born according to the flesh, then prosecuted him who was born according to the Spirit. Even so it is now. Nevertheless, what does the scripture say? Cast out the bondwoman and her son, for the son of the bondwoman shall not be heir with the son of the free woman. So then, brethren, we are not children of the bondwoman, but of the free. Now you see, the children of promise are the children of Israel. The children of the covenant were of the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The child of Hagar, Hagar was a Canaanite. And Hagar was also a bondwoman. She was Sarah's maid. So the child that Abraham had by Hagar, that's a child of the flesh, not a child of the promise. The child of the promise came through Sarah, not Hagar. You see what I'm saying? And that's the same way it is today with us. The children of Israel are the ones of the promise. So if an Israelite man has sex and procreate with a woman who is not of the children of Israel, then that's a child of the flesh, the same way it was with Hagar. You see what I'm saying? And that child, like the scripture says, cast out this bondwoman, that her son may not be heirs with my son. And that's the same way it is today. If an Israelite has procreates with someone who's not of the children of Israel, then that child shall not be heirs with the children of Israel. That child is a Mamzer. You see what I'm saying? That child shall be put under the law of the stranger, but not accepted as a child of Israel until the third generation. That's the law. And that's what Paul is expounding on here. Okay, now let's go to the next portion of this Bible lesson sermon. It says, is there salvation for righteous Mamzers? Is there salvation for the Mamzer who desires to keep the commandments of the Most High? Yes, there is. And we read this in Isaiah chapter 56 verses 3 through 8. And it reads, it says, do not let the son of the foreigner who has joined himself to the Most High speak, saying, the Most High has utterly separated me from his people. Nor let the eunuch say, here I am, a dry tree. For thus saith the Most High, to the eunuch who keeps the Sabbaths, and choose what pleases me, and holds fast my covenant, even to them I will give in my house and within my walls a place and a name better than that of sons and daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that will not be cut off. And that's Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3 verse 14, the precept. Verse 6, also to the sons of the foreigner who joined himself to the Most High to serve him and to love the name of the Most High, to be his servants. Everyone who keeps from defiling the Sabbath and holds fast my covenant, even them I will bring to my holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices will be accepted on mine altar. My house shall be called a house of prayer for all nations. And the Most High, who gathers the outcast of Israel, says, yet I will gather to him others besides those who are gathered to him. And the precept to verse 7 is Deuteronomy chapter 24 verse 16, Jeremiah chapter 31 verses 29 and 30, and Ezekiel chapter 18 verses 19 and 20. See, the sons of the foreigners, the sons that the children have by foreign women, they will be accepted if they keep the commandments of the Most High. You see what I'm saying? Our God is a righteous God. He's a righteous judge. He does not condemn the righteous. He only condemns the wicked. So if you're a biracial person, all you got to do is keep the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, and you will be accepted. He said you will have a name greater than that name that are of sons and daughters. You see what I'm saying? You will be respected. You will have a place. Your sacrifices and stuff will be accepted on his altar. As long as you keep the commandments of the Most High, you will be accepted, because it's all about being obedient. It's about being obedient to his word, keeping his commandments. And that's what gives you acceptance in his eyes. If you are a Mamzer, if you are biracial, you're not doomed because of that. If you keep the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, you will be accepted. And that's the whole purpose of this Bible study sermon. It's to show you that there is a curse on the people who break God's commandments and interracially mix. There's a curse on them because God said don't mix. So there's going to be a curse on those parents. And a lot of times the children suffer for the consequences of the parents. But if the child sees the sins of his parents and does not do them, but does what is lawful and right in the eyes of the Most High, then that child will be accepted. And the precepts to my statement I just made is in Deuteronomy chapter 24 verse 16, Jeremiah chapter 31 verses 29 through 30, and Ezekiel chapter 18 verses 19 to 22. You know, read those verses. Just because of what the parents did doesn't necessarily condemn the child. If that child decides to do what is lawful and right in the eyes of the Most High will accept him. So this is what I tell you if you are a Mamzer. This is what I tell you if you have an Israelite father and a heathen mother. You are Mamzer, and the only way to not suffer the consequences of what your parents did, you have to keep the law. Next, we're going to Tobit chapter 4, verses 12 and 13. And it reads, Son, be on your guard against prostitutes. Above all, marry a woman of our tribe, because we are the descendants of the prophets. Do not marry anyone who is not related to us. Remember that Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, our earliest ancestors, all married relatives. And the Most High blessed them with children. And so their descendants will inherit the land of Israel. Son, be loyal to your own relatives. Don't be too proud to marry one of them. Such pride leads to terrible frustration and ruin, just as laziness brings on severe poverty and causes starvation. See, it's a commandment from the Most High that we keep it in the family, that we marry our cousins, we marry our relatives, that we marry the children of the covenant, the children of Israel. So if you're biracial, if one of your parents is an Israelite and the other one is an Egyptian, or is an Egyptian, is an Edomite, or anything, you got to marry back into Israel. You got to marry back into Israel so that you can produce a second generation Mamzer. And then that second generational child, once those children grow up from the second generation and they get married, they have to marry back into the children of Israel to produce the third generation, which would be classified as Israelites according to the law. So we have to do righteousness. We have to marry back into the fold, back into the children of Israel. Don't marry someone who's mixed because you're mixed. Don't do that, because you're only going to be producing another Mamzer of the first generation. You see what I'm saying? Mamzers should marry Israelites. Don't marry another Mamzer. And the reason I bring it up, because I've been seeing that a lot lately. I've been seeing biracial people mixed with biracial people. Like you have Lisa Bonet married Lenny Kravitz. Lenny Kravitz is biracial. Lisa Bonet, they both biracial. So you got two biracial people marrying each other, producing another Mamzer of the first generation. You're not producing the second generation if you mixing with somebody else that's mixed too. You see what I'm saying? Mixed people are starting to build a community of being biracial, and they're starting to mix with each other, and they're creating a biracial race. You know, they're creating a dynasty of Mamzers. And we know there's prophecy about that as well. You know. Next, we're going to Sirach chapter 13, verses 15 and 16. And it reads, it says, every creature prefers its own kind, and people are no different. Just as animals of the same species flock together, so people keep company with people like themselves. And the precept to that is in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 19. So we see it says, every creature prefers its own kind, and people are no different. You see lions mating with lions. You see tigers mating with tigers. You see hyenas mating with hyenas. A hyena ain't trying to mate with no wolf. No lion is trying to mate with no panther. You see what I'm saying? No cheetah is trying to mate with no kitten. The animals mate with animals that are of their own race, their own species. So we are no different. We're supposed to get with people who are like us. A black Hebrew Israelite that believes in keeping the commandments, keeping the feast days, keeping that. Your wife's supposed to be also of the children of Israel who also believe in keeping the feast and all that kind of stuff as well. Why would you, being a Hebrew Israelite that believe in keeping the feast, keeping the Sabbath day, not eating unclean foods and things like that, why would you marry a Christian who believe that you can eat anything, don't have to keep the feast? Why would you marry someone who's the complete opposite of you, and it's also a complete opposite of your spiritual beliefs? Why would you do that? You know, this wicked place called America are promoting this stupid saying, opposites attract. You're not supposed to be attracted to someone who's the complete opposite of you, who's in complete opposition of your fundamental beliefs. Why would you be attracted to that? That's like the girl who goes to church. The church girl attracted to the thug. Someone who don't go to church, someone who don't believe in God, someone who's selling drugs, fornicating, this and that. But you're supposed to be a church girl, a choir girl who's supposed to be living right according to God's word. You're attracted to the thug. That's called retarded. That's called stupidity. There's no logic in being attracted to someone who's the opposite of you, unless something is mentally wrong with you. And if you notice that somebody has a mental problem, that something is mentally wrong with them, you need to stay away from them. Don't get with nobody who you see has a mental problem. You see what I'm saying? Next, we're going to Sirach chapter 26, verses 19 through 21. And it reads, it says, "My child, stay healthy while you are young, and don't give your strength to strangers. Search the whole land for a fertile field, and plant it with your own seed, trusting your own good stock. Then your children will survive and grow up confident of their good family." And the precept to that is in Proverbs chapter 5, verses 15 through 20. And let me reiterate on this. I'm in Sirach chapter 26, verses 19 to 21. It says, "My child, stay healthy while you are young, and don't give your strength to strangers." Meaning, don't go procreating with people who are not of your own people. Don't go procreating with people who have different fundamental beliefs than you. Don't give your strength to strangers. Verse 20. "Search the whole land for a fertile field, and plant it with your own good seed, trusting in your own good stock. Then your children will survive and grow up confident of their good families." See, basically, it's an allegory about finding a woman. The field represents the woman. Find a good woman, a fertile woman, a woman who can reproduce. And you want her to be able to reproduce children that are like you, that's going to help the dynasty, that's going to help procreate the legacy of the children of Israel, of your fundamental beliefs. Your woman has to be on the same page as you. You see what I'm saying? Has the same fundamental beliefs as you. So when y'all raise y'all children, y'all on the same page. Y'all on one accord. You don't want to get with a woman who celebrates Christmas and pagan holidays, and you don't believe in that. And so when y'all have children together, she wants to bring Christmas in their life and all this type of pagan stuff into life. She wants them to go spend Christmas Eve and this and that by her side of family, when you know you don't deal with your family who celebrate those things. You see what I'm saying? You don't want to get with a woman that's still into paganism. And if you're a woman listening to this, you don't want to get with a man who's still into paganism. You don't want to get with a man who does not believe in keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. You need to get with an Israelite, someone who believes what you believe. You see what I'm saying? If you are in the congregation that has taught you the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, and you find a man who believes in that doctrine and also practice it, not just a hearer of the word, but also a doer of the word, you need to marry that person and stop being attracted to people who are the opposite of you, who's opposed to your spiritual beliefs. Stop doing that. That's dumb. That's retarded. Don't be retarded. Be intelligent. And I see myself having to stress that because we have our people struggle with retardation where they're attracted to people who are against the fundamental beliefs that they believe in as far as their relationship with God. Stop being attracted to the opposite. Be attracted to people who have the same spirit as you do, which we classify as our family. Your family members now are those who have the spirit of the Messiah, who are living right according to God's word through the spirit of the Messiah. That's your family. Pick that person as your mate. Pick that person as your spouse. Stop going outside of your belief system. Stop going outside of what you believe in to find a mate. Stop being desperate, because all that's going to do is destroy you. Now, the last verse we're going to is in the book of Jubilees. Jubilees chapter 30, verses 7 through 14. That's the book of Jubilees, chapter 30, verses 7 through 14. And it reads, it says, "And if there is any man who wisheth in Israel to give his daughter or his sister to any man who is of the seed of the Gentiles, he shall surely die, and they shall stone him with stones, for he have wrought shame in Israel, and they shall burn the woman with fire, because she had dishonored the name of the house of her father, and she shall be rooted out of Israel. And let not an adulteress and no uncleanness be found in Israel throughout all the days of the generations of the earth. For Israel is holy unto the Most High, and every man who had defiled it shall surely die. They shall stone him with stones. For thus had it been ordained and written in the heavenly tablets regarding all the seed of Israel. He who defileth it shall surely die, and he shall be stoned with stones. And to this law there is no limit of days, and no remission, nor any atonement. But the man who had defiled his daughter shall be rooted out in the midst of all Israel. And because he had given of his seed to Moloch, and wrought impiety so as to defile it, and do thou, Moses, command the children of Israel, and exhort them not to give their daughters to the Gentiles, and not to take for their sons any of the daughters of the Gentiles, for this is an abomination before the Most High. For this reason I have written for thee in the words of the law all the deeds of the Shechemites, which they wrought against Dinah, and how the sons of Jacob spoke, saying, We shall not give our daughter to a man who is uncircumcised, for this were a reproach unto us. And it is a reproach to Israel, to those who give, and to those who take the daughters of the Gentiles. For this is unclean and abominable to Israel. And Israel will not be free from this uncleanliness if it had a wife of the daughters of the Gentiles, or had given any of its daughters to a man who is of any of the Gentiles. And the precept to that is Job chapter 13, verse 4, which says that nothing clean can come out of anything that's unclean. You can't get something clean out of something that's unclean. The Gentiles are unclean. A Gentile is someone who is not of the children of Israel, who does not practice the law, statutes, and commandments that were given unto the children of Israel. That's a Gentile. And the Most High commanded us not to give our daughters to the Gentiles, nor take a daughter of the Gentiles for our sons. This is against the law. And this law that the Most High gave unto us, it had a death sentence attached to it. It says, you surely shall be put to death for doing these things. This is a great transgression that has come amongst our people. Our people are getting with Gentiles, people marrying people that's not of their own kin, that's not of their own spiritual beliefs. Now, just because someone is of another race and they believe what you believe, they keep the feet. Don't look. Let's not play games here. You see what I'm saying? Oh, because you go to a Messianic congregation, and at the Messianic congregation, there's black Hebrew Israelites and there are white Jews or Jewish people, and because they believe in keeping the feast and keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High as you do, you say, oh, well, we believe in the same thing, so I'm going to marry one of them. Nah. Because see, that white Jewish person don't believe that the Messiah was black. That white Jewish person don't believe that the children of Israel were black. They have a whole different belief system than you. So you can't get with one of them. Just, you see, that's a lust. That's a lust of the flesh. You're attracted to their appearance over your own people's appearance. That you would choose someone who completely is, you know what I'm saying? And it's not a racist topic. Well, actually it is, because the Most High didn't want us mixing, and the Most High chose Israel over all the other races upon the face of the earth. So technically it is racist, because the Most High chose Israel above all. And the Most High commanded the children of Israel to stay within their own families. But that was regular custom and culture for all races of people before these damn Edomites came into power and then just twisted everything upside down. But that's how originally it was. That's going to conclude today's Bible study sermon. Thank you all for tuning in. Please subscribe to my new channel. This is my new channel. And I'm going to leave a link in the description box for my old channel. But until next time, peace and shalom.